Hey, what's happening out there? This is Halftime Prep Talk. We're at Ashland's Alumni Field, and as always, HTPT is brought to you by Fannin Automotive Family. Zack Klemme, Matthew Sparks, I'm Aaron Snyder. We're going to talk to Coach Johnny Lemaster, his first year on the job here. He coaches third base and is the head coach for Tomcats. Braxton Ratliff, the shortstop, he is a freshman, and he'll join us. He's leading the team with 500 batting average, pretty impressive. And Chaz Jackson, he's a senior, one of two seniors on the team for the Tomcats. The other is Tanner Runyon. Chaz Jackson just recently signed with Pikeville, and Zach, you'll talk to him here in a little while. Now, check out the Chick-fil-A ticker. Common practice for you right now, for you returning viewers, but you're gonna see updated records, and we're not going to talk about undefeated teams today. We're going to talk about rain, because especially every Tuesday for the past 3 weeks, it's been raining, and I'm getting used to just throwing in photos on the newspaper, on the sports section, and just kind of putting a little blurb, hey, this game has been suspended, to we don't know when it's going to be resumed. And so it's been kind of a crazy spring, hasn't it?
Yes. And it's kind of funny, and it's not just because that's transportation issues too. I was talking to Kevin Goldie last night. I was so excited because everybody got to Greenup County on time. They were going to start on time. I was going to tell us, I think it's the first time in 2 months that my game started on time. And then they started senior night, not 15 minutes before game time, but at game time. So it took a little bit of time, but it was very interesting and unusual. And they do things a little bit differently out there at Greenup. But I mean, they
got the Doppler on the screen.
When you win your first 31 games, you can probably just do whatever you want, or at least that's what Michael Coffey
Well, I have my own rain story.
That wasn't a rain story.
Well, I have a rain story.
Okay.
We covered a game at Russell Racing softball Tuesday night, and there was dark clouds approaching. There was a play near the end of the game where it was called an interference one way or the other. And they decided to talk about it for 20 minutes while it had dark clouds approaching and the wind was picking up, but they still decided to make it a thing. So we may have got another inning or two in before the rains came, but that's neither here nor there, I guess.
Well, with all the rain, it's interesting to kind of see what the people in the press box do in terms of the PA announcer, what kind of songs they throw in. Did they throw any rain songs on?
They did. Purple Rain, of course, everything with Prince that happened a couple weeks ago. Purple Rain you hear about everywhere, but it's actually,
very
and the good
creative
thing about it too, it's pretty long, so you fill up some space.
Yeah, you do. You got to fill in that time.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite rain song? Your favorite song that has rain in the title, Matt?
Well, like I said, it's we heard a lot of rain songs over the last few weeks over the PA and then watched a lot of rain. I think the ultimate rain band has to be Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Oh.
And appropriate to be Who'll Stop the Rain.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
Well, another one they do is, which amuses me when they play it, is how have you ever seen the rain?
Yeah,
and you're like, yes, it's right there,
yes,
right now. This is not funny. But, everybody's a comedian. And, I mean, it's usually a little bit more amusing at the time.
Yeah.
Had to go with Guns N' Roses, too.
November
Rain, even though we're in May.
You're only supposed to pick one. What about yours?
I only have one. I just said it.
Oh, that was it?
Yes.
So that was it. Okay.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was your favorite.
I mean, I like CCR. You were right.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Whatever. It's all good.
Maybe you both picked CCR.
I'm a little old school. It's all good.
I'm going to go with Rain Wizard. Have you heard of that?
No.
Hard rock band Blackstone Cherry out of Pikeville.
No.
Yeah, they're from Pikeville. Johnny Lemaster used to coach at Pikeville. We'll talk to him here in a little bit.
There.
And
what a segue.
But first, we have triple play
to
get to, and I'm going to go first. Give me that baseball.
Okay.
Right behind me here is the A that we can't step on, but right behind that is the third base line we can't step on, and behind that is the mound where Cameron Conley the other night, the sophomore for Ashland, dealt 5 no-hit innings in relief, and they needed him badly. Russell had a 1-0 lead when he came in. Bases were loaded, nobody out, and he came in and induced a double play. It was a rocket shot right back at him, but he fielded it nicely, and it took him a second. You could see the little hesitation on his face, but I think he heard the catcher, home, or 2-2, whatever they yell, and he fired it home and started the double play. He actually started another double play later in the game, so his defense and his pitching were very good on Monday, and they needed it. So Cameron Conley gets my game ball.
I'm going to go take the softball from Zach here. I've seen a lot of softball this past week, so I'm going to stay right there. I'm going to go with Greenup County pitcher Madison Crump. Big reason why the Greenup County secured the #2 seed in the 63rd District Tournament this week. They swept Raceland. regular season series. She picked up wins in both games. And on a Thursday night, last Thursday, on 11-1 win, she out-hit Raceland. She had more hits than she allowed, 2-1. And she's really improving, I think, in the circle, especially taking over from a mainstay in the circle for Brooke Johnson from last year.
Mm-hmm. You need either of these?
No, I don't think I do.
All right, toss him.
You need a hurdle,
Make a
don't
comment about me throwing the ball away from the equipment.
You almost hit him in the face.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. Probably bring
That's better than the equipment, right?
We should probably bring out a hurdle for you, right?
Yeah, well, okay. Reese Robinson, Boyd County, 5 High Point Award wins at meets this year, including the Area 7 meet, which was last week. He tied for the High Point in another, and he's been a big part of Boyd County's attempts to win that region this coming week. They were 4 points shy of Russell in the area meet last week at Bath County, and they go to Mason County on Saturday, and we'll attempt to do that. Just the level of production that he's given Boyd as they've tried to. They're maybe not the deepest team or the most complete team top to bottom that we have in the area, but they've been competitive in a lot of meets. They've won some. They were right there in others. And that's in large part, not solely, but in large part due to the production of Reese Robinson. It was kind of funny. I was talking to Boyd County's track coach, Clayton McClellan. He said that he's kind of launching a campaign to get him to be the all-area track athlete of the year. So we might have to, see what they got. A lot of times at the college level when somebody's making a Heisman campaign, they come up with all kinds of fancy pants productions and media releases and kind of stuff, and so we'll have to see if they can step their game up and really lobby for it. But anyway, Robinson's production has certainly been good this year, and we'll give him a little bit of recognition for that.
So in triple play, we covered track and field, we covered softball and baseball. Hopefully you've been keeping an eye on the Daily Independent for tennis coverage, because the region tennis finals were just this past week, and sectional is next, and then after that is state. That's how the progression goes. And we have several talented tennis players in the area, so hopefully you've been keeping an eye on that as well. All right, speaking of doubles, let's play two.
Another segue. Goodness.
Games of the weekend, guys. Baseball first. Greenup County and Madison Central are supposed to play in Lafayette this weekend. Madison Central ranked 3rd in the state. The Musketeers, of course, number 1 and still yet to be beaten. Matt, comments?
Well,
questions?
This might be Green County's maybe toughest test maybe of the whole season. I mean, this is a top quality tournament that they're in Fayette County, Lexington area. You had to play several games at different sites in the Lexington area. Playing the number 3 team in the state has its challenges. But also, it might not be their only true test, because they do play Lafayette too that weekend too, and Lafayette just beat Madison Central this past week. So a really tough test for Green County.
They've not shied away, as we've said all year, from playing that kind of real tough schedule. And I'll say this too: not everybody is as, I guess, overt or outward about it as they are. They don't want to win 32 games. They want to win 45. They want to win all of them. Right. They want to make history. They would be the first team to win 45 games in a season, if I'm not mistaken. And they're beyond excited about that opportunity, and the way they're rolling right now. They're carrying a tremendous amount of confidence into every game, and they will have that confidence against the number 3 team in the state, and that's what happens when you're number 1 and you've won all your games. So they're just a lot of fun to watch right now, just as they continue to pursue what they think that they have a logical chance, a real chance to catch.
Exactly, and it's realistic right now, but it's still there's a lot of season left. Yes. And really, in terms of that, if you look at 45 games, they've completed 31. They started on the 32nd the other night against Lawrence, but basically they're just 2/3 of the way where they want to get. So
and it's the hardest third remaining.
Yeah, it's a very hardest third. They have met every challenge so far. Yes. And every team now is gunning for them in every way possible. Right. And they just keep meeting that challenge every single time. You think they're out, they come up with a late victory, they come up with a big home run. Right. They've done it in every way possible.
Greg Logan's certainly rounding them around 3rd, but we'll see what kind of arm the rest of the state has in left field. All right, what about softball this weekend? Lawrence County at Raceland. That game, it's interesting on many levels, because Raceland needs to kind of rebound from this latest stretch. They've been struggling of late. They're still 19-9, and they have a quality lineup. Lawrence County has played quite well. They snapped an 11-game streak in the series against Johnson Central recently, beating Johnson Central 4-2. So interesting matchup. 2
teams that they're pretty similar in some regards, in that in their respective regions they're trying to crack into the power structure. They're knocking on the door. Raceland has had some success this year in some big games, but they've struggled in some games. Lawrence, of course, you mentioned the big win against Johnson Central, and they lost to McGoffin, which is another one of the top teams in the 15th region. Lawrence, for all of its success it's had in the regular season the last few years, has not had much in the postseason in recent years, and so they're knocking on the door there, and they're trying to do it. These are two teams that need to continue to make that progress with district right around the corner. And Raceland, of course, has probably a little bit tougher test in that district with the teams that they play with. Lewis, of course, had a big win against Greenup earlier this year. Greenup got them twice, and then Russell went undefeated in the district. So that 63rd, as usual, stacks up as a very tough district. So they need to get rolling. It's about that time they got to get going. All right.
I'll add on to what Zach says. We got postseason just less than 2 weeks away. I think these are two teams that are looking for to build some momentum heading into that district tournament. It's hard to say, fun to say when two teams that are combined for 36 wins. But they've had some losses here that they probably didn't want, and they've been up and down a little bit. Raceland, the offense is there. They've had 317 runs this season so far. That's the most in the region.
Right.
But they're trying still to adapt to a new pitching staff. Kelsey Diller was there for a long time, so it's going to take a little while maybe for that to come around to meet their batting. But it's two good teams, and two teams looking for that momentum.
All right, we'll see what happens this weekend. Stick around for Johnny Lemaster.
My camera's overheating.
Oh, okay. All right, here at Ashland's Alumni Field with Coach Johnny Lemaster, first year on the job here as the head coach of the Tomcats. Of course, Coach Lemaster, you may have heard his name before. He's been around baseball a long time, all your life, correct?
Basically, yes.
Played 12 seasons in the major leagues. Was a 6th pick overall.
Sixth pick overall with the Giants.
Out of Paintsville High School. Can you think back to that, 1973, when you're a 6th pick out of high school, what kind of emotions were you experiencing then?
Hey, you go back to the season, and there was only 26 Major League Baseball teams at that time, but there would be something between 40 and 50 scouts at every game I played.
Wow.
So they were sending 2 or 3 scouts. Some of them were actually coming into our school and taking me out of class and giving me eye tests. They were giving me psychological tests. There was Danny Murtaugh and Tony Lucadella would come and get me out of class and take me over to the baseball field and hit ground balls to me in the tennis court to simulate AstroTurf. But our principal and our superintendent were sports people, and they let them come and get me. So all that going, and then I'd already signed a letter of intent to play at Arizona State.
Okay.
And on the day of the draft, I get a phone call. It's Coach Brock from Arizona State, and then knocking at the door at the same time was Hugh Poland, the scout with the San Francisco Giants, wanting to negotiate a contract. But the Giants won out. It was a whirlwind, but it was great. I loved every minute of it, and it was some really good memories that I'll remember for a long time.
Wow, that's very interesting. You broke into the majors at age 21 in 1975.
Correct.
Ended up playing 12 seasons in the major, mostly with the Giants, of course.
Right.
What was your best season? Would it be 83? I know you had 39 stolen bases that year, 6 home runs.
Yeah. Frank Robinson was our manager that year, and he came to spring training. He said, "You're going to be my leadoff hitter this year." Primarily, I'd always been in the A-hole, and if hitting in the 8th spot with the pitcher hitting behind you, you had to open up your strike zone and swing balls because they didn't want you to make the last out.
Right.
So that the pitcher would have to be leading off the inning. And then if you got on base, and if there's 2 outs, they didn't want you stealing. If you got caught stealing, and he had to lead off the inning also. But then when you get moved up to the leadoff position, it kind of opened up a lot of avenues for me. And in the big league, anytime you steal 39 bases, that's a lot of bases with the kind of catchers that can throw there.
39 stolen bases that year, 81 runs scored that year. That was a best for you as well. In terms of guys that you played with, I know talking to you when you were hired here last summer, you mentioned Joe Morgan as a guy that really had an impact on you.
He did.
Played a couple seasons with him, correct?
Well, when he signed with the Giants, I went to our equipment manager, and I said, "You put his locker next to mine," because he's won 2 World Series, 1975 and 6, and he was MVP of the National League both of those 2 years. And I want to pick his brain as much as I can. But playing the years that I play, I probably gained 20 years of experience playing with him. He's that knowledgeable of the game. He used to be on ESPN doing the Sunday night game of the week, but he's not doing his health is not as good as what it used to be. But Joe was great.
Do you keep in contact with any of the guys you played with?
Oh, I keep in contact with a lot of them. Several of them came and helped me put on a clinic here in December.
That's right.
Al Oliver and Don Gullett came. What's his name from Lexington is doing the Cincinnati Reds game now. Little second baseman that played with he'll see this on here.
Flynn?
Yeah, Doug Flynn. He was going to be here, but he just had a hip replaced.
Okay.
But George Foster's actually come back and helped me put on some clinics. But a lot of the Giants I stay in contact with too.
Oh, that's excellent. As far as your other times in baseball, not just playing, but coaching after that. Of course, you spent 12 seasons there at Pikeville, or 13 years?
12
at Pikeville, and now the field's named after you. What's it like to have a field named after you?
It's great. I was telling Chaz when you interview him in a minute, he gets to play on the best field he's ever played on because it's named after a great guy.
That's awesome. I know you enjoyed that experience. You've coached younger kids. You coached Little League, had success there. Coaching high school now. What's it been like just to be able to coach, all these different ages?
When you go up as far as you can go at one thing, which is the major leagues with baseball, but then you go all the way back down to T-ball after you've done that, it's very gratifying to be able to teach the kids, and at the end of the year, look at how much that they've improved. But I think it's always a whole lot about giving back. Because if we can do one thing and do it I consider myself one of the 26 best shortstops in the world at one time, okay? But then you go back to T-ball and you're trying to teach those kids what you have learned, and I think it goes a long way.
Absolutely. Well, you guys did have success, especially last summer. You guys, the 11 and 12-year-olds down in Paintsville, guided them to the state finals against Bowling Green.
Correct.
And I know I talked to you on the phone a couple times that week, and then I started hearing rumors that Johnny Lemaster might be the next coach at Ashland. So I had to ask you about that one day when we were talking about Paintsville, of course, and you said, ask me that again tomorrow.
Yeah.
What was that week like for you?
It was kind of a whirlwind week. I came up and interviewed for the job, and a couple of days later they said, we want to hire you. But I still had the state tournament to go with those 11 and 12-year-olds, and I didn't want to tell them anything about it until everything was said and done, just so that we could keep our focus where we needed to keep it. And I was almost able to do that. I don't know how the rumors got out here in Ashland, but you seemed to find out something before a lot of other people did. But our 11 and 12-year-olds did extremely well last year. The team that beat us and it went on to Indianapolis and won that and went on to the Little League World Series, they beat us 5-3 in a game where they only had 3 hits and all 3 of them were infield hits. But it's another good learning experience for all those kids too.
Let's talk about the Tomcats. You guys have come a long way since the beginning of the season. 15 and 13 now. Won 5 of your last 6 and 4 in a row. Things seem to be going pretty well, especially the latest game against Russell. I'm not going to say spotless defense, but no errors on the scorecard, and some really, silky smooth double plays out there. So defense, clicking pretty well, and the hitting's come around, and you had some timely pitching.
Yeah, any time in the high school level, or even in the big leagues, if your pitchers throw strikes and the guys catch it behind them, you're going to have a chance to win. And that's what we've been preaching to the kids all year. Don't throw the ball down the middle, but throw it to spots. And we have to learn. You're going to make some mistakes and you're going to walk some people, but the only way you're going to learn is to go out there and do it. And the same way with our defense. We started out early in the year, we were making some mistakes. I have to tell, I don't care if you make a physical mistake. It's because everybody, they even do it in the big leagues. Don't worry about making a physical mistake. Now, a mental mistake's a different thing.
Right.
I will get on them for that. But if they make physical mistakes, that's fine. But it's been a learning. We're very young, and that's good for the program. We have a lot of good players on the JV and a lot of good players on the middle school, and it's going to be good baseball here in Ashland for a long time to come, the way I see it right now. But as far as the coaching and the way the team is doing right now, they've come a long way.
Oh, yeah. And it starts with your leadoff hitter, Braxton Ratliff, also the shortstop of the team. We're going to talk to him in just a minute, just a freshman. He's also your grandson. Do you see any of yourself in Braxton when he plays?
He looks more like me every day. He's a good player. He's getting better. He's still got things to learn, but he's kind of the anchor of the infield. He kind of solidifies it and puts the team where we need to be, and he has to be the leader in the infield. He knows that, and having a grandfather that played that position is not a bad thing to have.
He's batting .500 right now, leading the team in several categories. But you guys got several other young guys too that are really talented, and you have a couple seniors that you said have provided some really nice leadership, and Chaz Jackson, who we'll talk to, and also Tanner Runyon. So things have been going pretty well for you guys. What do you want to see over the next couple of weeks? What's the most important thing you want to see?
Well, I want to see the continued leadership, but I'm trying to instill in them that the district tournament goes through Ashland. The regional tournament goes through Ashland. The state tournament goes through Ashland. That is the level or the rise that we want this program to come to. And it's got to start this year on these kids. Because if you look up here on this wall at the tradition that there is in Ashland baseball, with the state champions, the state runners-up, but you look at all the districts they've won and all the regions they've won, that tradition has got to carry on.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about Ashland football, Ashland basketball tradition, but it's certainly there in baseball, and it's there in the record book, so there's no doubt about that. Johnny, thanks for your time. We're going to bring on Braxton Ratliff and Chaz Jackson.
My pleasure.
Okay, here with Ashland shortstop Braxton Ratliff, a freshman on the team, batting .500, leading the team in that, leading the team in several categories. Pretty slick fielder out there as well. Braxton, what was the transition like, first of all? You know, you came from Paintsville up here to Ashland. What was that transition like?
It's different coming to school, to a 4A school from a 1A school, especially in Eastern Kentucky. Walking through classes, knowing people, knowing from seniors to kindergartners down there. I mean, I know everybody's name, and then I don't know half the people in my class up here.
Right.
I can see people in the back of class. I have no idea what their name is or anything like that.
Well, you got a little time to learn it. You got a few more years.
Got a couple more years.
Let's go back to the football season. What was it like to suit up for the Tomcats during the football season? You know, you played some quarterback as well, just, you know, as a freshman. What was that experience like?
It's different, especially at Putnam Stadium. When I first got here, they were like, "Have you ever played in a stadium before? Is it different playing from just a regular football field and coming to Putnam and playing?" I was like, "Boys, I'm not too far out in the woods out there. We have football fields and everything just like you guys, but Putnam's an elite stadium around here." And having Cash Daniels around when I was in 8th grade, he taught me a lot of leadership, especially playing the same position as him, how to poise myself and keep composure on the team. So he helped me a lot with that.
Now, did some of the Paintsville guys give you a little bit of a hard time during last season because they were having so much success down there? They had a historic season. Did they give you a little bit of ribbing?
No, they just told me to keep up my good work, and I said the same thing to them.
Okay.
When I saw them around, they were pretty friendly about it.
All right. So no even joking around about it or anything?
I mean, yeah, some joking around, but
all right.
I told them when they went to when they lost Cash, man, I said I wish I would be there with you guys now to be able to play some quarterback and go to state with y'all. But it's how things fell.
Sure. I'm sure you're proud to be a Tomcat now, and now on the field, on the baseball field, being a shortstop at the varsity level here. You guys are playing at a high level right now. You have won 4 in a row. What's been going right for you guys lately?
The pitcher's been getting the ball over the plate a lot. Anytime in high school, people throwing strikes and getting ground balls, I mean, you can feel it and the game's going to be in reach. And plus, had a couple big hits against Fairview with Cameron and Evan Dickinson. They came and swung the wood that game.
Yeah, and you talked about those two guys. Those are well, one's an eighth grader and one's a freshman.
Yeah.
So just a young core of guys that you're following some nice leadership in Jackson and Runyon, but you got a group of guys, including Cameron Colley, who pitched well the other night as a sophomore. So good future here, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Everybody's talking about 2 more years, 3 more years. I keep telling them, what about now? What about now? We got a shot right now, so let's go and get it and not wait.
What's it like playing for your grandfather as a coach?
I like it, but at the same time, I'm held to a little bit higher standard than these other guys. Bad games, I get to go home and hang out and kind of think on it themselves. Got an hour out home back to Paintsville. You get it the whole way home, know exactly what you've done wrong, and the good thing out of that, you come out next practice and that's what you focus on.
All right, Braxton, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
We're back here at Alumni Field with Chaz Jackson, a senior at Ashland, just recently signed a letter of intent to play at Pikeville. So just kind of getting that out of the way and being able to move on. What's it like to just kind of have that load off your shoulders?
It's definitely a good load off my shoulders. I've been working with a couple of other schools that had interest in me, but it came down to it, and I selected Pikeville.
Okay. Senior outfielder and pitcher for the Tomcats, which means also play football during the fall. So that means since Alumni Field doubles as your baseball field and your football practice field, you spend a lot of time on this grass out here,
Sure.
a lot of nights after school. So kind of what's it like going from that transition from football season? You have a few months, and then you get ready and you gear up for baseball. What's it like to make that transition every year?
Well, right after football, it came out of that loss, and not even 2 weeks later, I was out here on the field.
Yeah.
I got to focus on what's next, what's ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Got to stay better. Just worry about what's ahead.
Yeah. Playing an outfield, of course, a lot of times you get kind of a crazy hot because you've had these big 300-pound linemen that have been pounding on that outfield all fall. And is it different kind of learning to read those and play those here versus maybe some other fields that are just baseball fields?
Yes, definitely. I've been playing on here for about 5 years, and I've got it down to a science now. But when I was first, I was getting hit in the chin, knee. It was a rough time, but we got to play with what we got.
No doubt. As a team, you guys have back above 500 this season. Kind of a rough year last year. What went into stepping your game up and getting back to this point where you guys are back in competition and trying to win a region and a district there?
Well, I knew we had some serious talent on the team, and we had some great leaders last year, so I had to fill those shoes. Me and Tanner did. And we've got a couple of younger guys there, some serious leaders and some serious ball players. So we're ready for the challenge.
3 district wins, and all of them comeback wins, so you guys get in a position where late in the game, you may not have the lead, but you're still kind of scrapping around. What's your guys' mentality like when you're going into the end of a game and you kind of know you got to get after it, and what goes into being successful in those situations?
Your head is always up. You can't get down and then let your head hang, because once one person's head hang, all 9 hang. So error here, error there. You got to keep your head up and keep up in the dugout and cheer on your brothers, and that's all that matters.
At Ashland, we talked about this a minute ago, the tradition that you guys have in football and in baseball. What's it like to be a Tomcat and trying to live up to that and to further that tradition?
Well, since I hadn't played football until this year, my senior year, I wasn't fully aware of the tradition until I stepped out on Putnam Stadium, and it just overcame me that I was actually a Tomcat and this was real. And it's a huge responsibility to be a Tomcat. You got to hold yourself to a much higher standard than most schools did.
All right, we'll be back in a minute with 2 for the Road. All right, we're back here at Alumni Field, 2 for the Road. Matthew, you want to kick it off?
I think I will. I'm going to go to the links for my 2 for the Road. This weekend I watched a lot of sports. I watched a ton of sports. There may be some people might consider that negative. I don't think so. That's a talk for another time. I'm going to the Wells Fargo Open. When it was going bad for you, you might need a little break somewhere along the line. James Hahn, professional golfer, 8 missed consecutive cuts that he missed. Got into a playoff with Roberto Castro in Charlotte. On Castro's approach shot to the first playoff hole, went into a patron shoe into the gallery. He had to make a drop. He got a bogey. James Hahn goes on to win. He had some trepidation about his golf game. Thought maybe he might have given it up for a little bit. Now he wins the tournament, and so good for him. I did hear that Castro's shot to the green was about a foot too long.
Well, I mean, obviously that reminds you of Happy Gilmore, and Shooter
exactly.
McGavin has to hit it off Frankenstein's fat
Yeah,
foot.
exactly right. I was going to make that reference.
There you go.
Good for you.
Well, I got it. We got it under control. As long as you don't have a nail in the top of your head, we're all good.
Exactly.
All right. Well, moving on to basketball. You might have seen on Tuesday, Tim Floyd, UTEP's head basketball coach, had an interesting little spat, I guess you would say, with a member of the local media there in El Paso. He called a press conference in order to, it was really just a ploy to have a chance to yell at this guy in public and go after him a little bit. It was just kind of, Tim Floyd is a guy, okay, he's been a coach on a lot of high levels. He coached the Chicago Bulls, he coached the New Orleans Hornets, coached at USC, he coached at Iowa State. So you ought to understand how the media work at this point, but I will admit I haven't seen all of the coverage of this, but Tim Floyd, his skin maybe is getting a little hotter, getting a little thin there. The guy's been kind of covering, and UTEP has been in the situation they've lost 4 players from last year. One of them went pro, 3 of them transferred. Then you always tend to get a little bit sensitive about that as a coach, probably. But another guy's been in that situation has been Matthew Mitchell, and you will say for whatever has caused all of that, the man called a press conference. He took responsibility for all of it. He's acting at least like he wants to get to the bottom of it, and he's taking responsibility, whereas Tim Floyd wants to blame the media. But anyway, and it's just kind of, you get into the situation where he's going after this guy. Floyd's going after this radio host, and the guy says, well, Coach, I've been texting you, I've been calling you, you haven't been returning my calls. What am I supposed to do exactly? And Tim Floyd says, when we want you to have some information, we'll give it to you. It's just kind of like a stunning misunderstanding of how the media work from a guy that's been at the highest levels of the sport. And we both have been critical of big media, and we'll continue to be.
Yeah, we will.
But
definitely.
In that particular situation, though, it's hard to be on Floyd's side about that. It's another kind of funny thing he did. He was also throwing some kids under the bus. He's reading up there, well, this guy had 0.2 points per game, and this guy had 0.6 rebounds per game. He wanted more playing time. And it's like, well, you cannot say that's as if that was the most ridiculous thing in the world. It's like, well, maybe, Coach, if he had more minutes per game, he would also have more than 0.2 points per game. But without knowing anything about this guy and whether or not he deserves more playing time, it's just kind of an amusing thought that your logic is not real good there.
So it sounds like Tim Floyd needs a vacation.
I think he does. Maybe he should take 6 games off next year or something. And miss the cut a few times and get all good. All right, well, about wraps it up from Alumni Field here. He's Matthew Sparks. I'm Zack Klemme. That guy's Aaron Snyder. We're sponsored, of course, by, as always, Fan and Automotive Family, and we will see you from a to-be-determined location next week.
Our district preview show.
Yes, and it's a total mystery where we're going to be, so join us for all the fun next week. We'll see you next week.